Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Revelations with Rowena. Ooh, I had a bit of a little spiciness to it. Morgan and I were just talking about this full moon in Leo has been just bananas. I don't know if anyone else been feeling the vibes, but despite that, we're here. We've made it. I am so excited to have our wonderful guest today, Morgan Rockwell Patricio, and as a lot of you know, the topic that we'll be speaking on today is very resonant, very near and dear to my heart. So we'll definitely talk about that and have her share about the journey that led her here. So, Morgan, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So, why don't you tell us about what led you to do this work with fertility and infertility? How did you get into this?
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story, so I'll give you the short version with all of the goods.
Sure.
Yeah, so when I was 23, I had like a pretty good health crisis myself. I was diagnosed with MS, and it was a really debilitating case. And at 23, that's a lot to take in, and piled on top of you might not work again. Oh, chances you might not have kids are pretty high.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so it was just a lot to process. And so I was able to move through that and found some alternative therapies that really worked for me, namely acupuncture and Chinese medicine,
Love
which
acupuncture.
it's amazing. So
Yes.
that shifted my trajectory. I was going through classic medical. That was like my track, wanted to be in medicine. And so I jumped ship and I went and actually took a degree in traditional Chinese medicine
I love that.
because it was so amazing how you can change your physiology because so many things are involved in it. It's not just
Mhm.
needles, it's not just herbs, there's the holistic picture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, so then in my clinical years, I just was having women coming in with these issues with hormones and fertility. And I thought, hey, you know what? If I can change my physiology in an autoimmune situation, why not apply the same thing for fertility? And it really works. So I got really excited to be a part of that process for other women. And here now I have two little kids myself. So
That's
yeah.
wonderful and amazing. First of all, I can't imagine being 23 and getting
Mhm.
that news. MS is no joke, and
Mm.
I applaud you for looking for alternative options. And as someone who I love my acupuncture, my acupuncturist, it played a role in my own journey in trying to get pregnant. And so wonderful to hear that you have two children now. That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
So, was it just the sense of these women kept coming to you with these issues and then
Yeah.
and like it just led you to say, I'm gonna go this route to help others.
Yeah, it kind of plays into my personality. It kind of like I just get really curious about things, and that's really good in that kind of case, right? I just
Absolutely.
why? Well, why is this happening? And well, that's not an answer. Why? And so I was really seeing that most women's complaints were either related to a hormonal issue,
Hmm.
um, or some sort of hormonal system, an endocrine system that was out of balance. And
Mm.
it might manifest as infertility, but we could really track that and get really good results.
So are there so is it a combination of different remedies that you use? Does it differ from person to person? Like how individualized is it? And then are there broad, themes that you see across the women that you treat?
Yeah, so it's 100% individualized the
Okay.
way that I do it. So
Mhm.
right now I'm offering fertility coaching, and I do an integrative. So it's kind of a mishmash of all of my Chinese medicine knowledge, all of my Western knowledge, and kind of put together.
I love that.
But really, like, no 2 cases of infertility are created equal, right? So even
Mhm.
let's take PCOS, for example. You and I might both have it, but perhaps your case stemmed from some blood sugar issues that went under the radar your whole teenage years and then manifested as PCOS later. And maybe mine was my nervous system has just been fried from a toxic living environment and school environment, and I can't regulate my nervous system. And that's
Mm.
manifested. So really looking at that root cause, it all looks like fertility on the branches, but what's the root? And so that's where you get really individualized.
I love that that mm, that perspective or that uncovering, right? That, yeah,
Mhm.
that's the broad umbrella term, but there's always some underlying
Mhm.
root causes that's going underneath the surface. How far back in a woman's history do you go? Do you go like childhood age, or does it, again, is it one of those it depends?
And that's where I think women's intuition is amazing, right? So we'll just kind of keep backing out and I'll ask them questions. Hey, when you were in high school, did you ever notice,
Mm,
really getting sleepy after you ate? Or, what was your eating pattern like in high school? Did you have healthy nutrition habits? And sometimes when we're like, oh gosh, I remember when I was a child, and they'll come up with this story that, you can't make it up. But they understand that's playing in it. It's that intuition of their body comes out. And it's super helpful.
what a beautiful example, yeah, as you said, of a
Yeah.
woman's intuition, that
Mhm.
divine feminine energy, just what a beautiful way to manifest that in order to work with you and to heal
Mhm.
ourselves and our bodies. Yeah. So in my instance, I have a decreased ovarian reserve.
Mhm.
So my entire, I guess, since I got my first period, my cycle's always been helter skelter, ridiculous, never managed well. It was always, when am I going to get my period? And then once
Mhm.
I do, it's just bananas. So I went on birth control in my
Mhm.
20s, because I was sexually active and whatnot, and was on BC for years, 10 plus years, until my husband and I were ready to get pregnant. And I went off the pill. My cycle was all jacked up again, and nothing was working. Like,
Mhm.
all the tracking and the ovulation strips. And I wrote several blog posts about it. It just, you get in this mindset of, first of all, being intimate with your partner is not even fun anymore, because it just seems like a chore just trying to
Yep.
get this to happen. And then for me personally, as a recovering perfectionist who most of my life is checking boxes and doing the things and getting the degrees, this was the first time in my life where I was doing the things that I was supposed to do and nothing was working, and it was so frustrating and triggering as well, because all the women around me seemed to be getting pregnant so easily. So that was really, really tough. Eventually we went through IVF to have our beautiful baby girl, and in addition to that, I worked with my acupuncturist. So thank you. She'll be 2 next month, which
Oh,
I can't even, like, what? I know my little
congratulations,
Thank
mama.
you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
know. Pandemic parenting's a whole different vibe. That's another conversation. But yeah, went through IVF, and I would go to my acupuncturist, and I my acupuncturist would y- kind of, what, I don't even know, work her magic. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting because my husband, who's not as into Chinese medicine and all this stuff as I am, even he was like, after we did the embryo transfer and I went to acu, he said, just tell Hannah whatever she needs to do to make
Yeah.
he was like, let's, whatever needs to happen to make this happen. And luckily, first round, the it took. And so, which
Yeah.
I was naive because I didn't know that I don't know, I guess I didn't realize that it can take some women a long time and several cycles. So
Which in your case, it probably worked the best, right? Like, if you didn't know that, then that is even working in your favor.
yeah, yeah,
But acupuncture does, like, statistically increase those odds double fold by working IVF and acupuncture together. And when I was in acupuncture practice, I did that,
yeah,
because it's just so effective, and it's just that extra sense of comfort behind you that you can, rest assured that it's going to be more effective, right?
yeah, yeah. No,
Mhm.
it's so interesting because I've been intrigued by acupuncture,
Mhm.
and I didn't know too much about it. An old work colleague of mine said that when he had a stroke, acupuncture saved his life.
Yeah.
His wife is Chinese, and so he was in China and he
Mhm.
got acu. And so I always remembered that story. And now, I mean, it's part of my care, my support, and even postpartum after the fact, it just helped so much a pregnant woman and then postpartum, and now as just a mom trying to make things work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful medicine because it can work on so many levels and it uses your own body's energy, right? It's just, it creates a more efficient way for your body to run so it doesn't have to work so hard. And then it can kind of just calm down the nervous system response, right? So we get a little bit of throughout our day, throughout our, whatever, recovering from pregnancy, throughout
Yes.
momming, throughout pandemics. It's amazing.
Yes, especially these days, we're talking during COVID-19, we're still not out of it. I think
No.
having that and there's definitely I can feel the difference afterward,
Mhm.
and I take my little Zen nap. I fall asleep every time
So good.
when I feel so good. And yeah, it's just an amazing modality. So Morgan, you mentioned that you also coach your clients.
Mhm.
What does that involve or entail? And is there, what's the process of working with someone that needs assistance?
Yeah, so right now I am doing fertility coaching, which is kind of start to finish. So we'll take your
Mm,
story since you gave it, so we can kind of unpack that, right? So in the
sure, let's
beginning,
do it.
yeah, you found out you had low ovarian reserve.
Mhm.
Awesome, we can work with that. There are so many things you can do to increase the quality of those eggs extremely, and a lot of fertility doctors won't tell you that. But what was the first thing that happened to you, right? I have low ovarian reserve. I have low
Yeah,
ovarian reserve. So you feel this clock is ticking and it's creating this stress response, right?
yes.
And then you're going through all this tracking and it's stressful and you shouldn't have an Excel spreadsheet to make love with your partner. But
Right?
so many women do this. So helping them kind of in that TTC, that trying to conceive, give
Hmm,
them steps that are necessary for their situation, but without creating that extra sense of a third person in the relationship, a third thing, because it can be so stressful. So really helping women check in with what's going on in their body. Some women need more nutrition support. Some women need more nervous system support. Some
hmm.
need taking a look at what's going on with some other systems in their body and maybe have their doctor run some more labs and analysis to look at something that might have been overseen. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so it's really case by case, but I find all women gain a lot of benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really helping them understand it can't happen overnight, especially if you want to do things naturally or holistically. Like, be realistic, give your body a year, take it in 3-month sections at a time, because that 3-month window is really where you see how things have affected in your body, how that those eggs are better quality, how those supplements have been working.
So does that, because the title of this is the
Mhm.
3-month lag. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that? Is that related to yeah.
Sure. So other than being, everything very specific, like the examples I gave earlier of the root cause,
Mhm.
you can hear, there are hands down supplements that are fantastic to help support fertility. There are different things that across the board are helpful, but people will try them for just a sporadic amount of time, like acupuncture, for example. Maybe you want one or two treatments. Well, you can attest that's not effective. You
No.
need to have a whole process, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah, I'm 4 years in and I'm
yeah.
I'm a convert, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so when we're actually looking at DNA changes in the egg and in the sperm quality, you will see a 3-month period of where that changes. So
Oh,
take a
wow.
look at what you're doing. Have you done it for 3 months? Have you done it for 3 months consistently? What was the
Mm.
before and the after? So we call that the 3-month lag. You're going to try things, but you're not going to see the benefit until about 3 months in front.
That is so fascinating. So
Mhm.
do you work with your clients then in these, like, 3-month
Mhm.
shift I don't
Yeah.
know if you call
Yeah.
it shifts, sprints? I don't even know.
Yeah, so I'll just do like a 3-month, session or something. I'll do
Mhm.
like, I have different packages that run, and like the baby dust package that I have because it's just a fun name,
Oh, that's
is
so cute, I love
yeah, isn't
that.
it? It's just a magic baby dust.
Yes.
And so that's really working on improving the egg quality and or all of the things that go into what's going on with your fertility picture, and we take a 3-month. That's my longest package, so women really get the full overhaul. Um
And so you mentioned too that there supplements involved? So it really there could be a
Mhm.
whole variety of different things. Okay.
Because I have that background of Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
I am able to do prescribed Chinese herbs. I'm able to recommend supplements, as well. I have an integrated nutrition degree, so we really can hit it with nutrition that way. Um, and sometimes I'll just throw in like eating from the Chinese perspective because it's fun and it might really work for somebody. It might make sense for their body. A way, it's just another way around an obstacle, right?
And by that, do you mean, like, eating the warming foods versus cold
Yes.
foods? Yes,
Yeah, so
okay.
we look more at, like, your Chinese body type. Perhaps you
Yeah,
have, some stomach, spleen deficiencies from the
mhm,
Chinese point of view, so you're gonna wanna eat the warm cooked foods, things
yeah.
like yes, you're aware of that, but really, getting women to think in a different perspective sometimes helps shift out of that mindset of, let's face it, infertility issues is extremely stressful,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so giving them a little hope, giving them a different perspective can sometimes just shift their reality a bit.
I love that. I mean, talk about a
Mhm,
holistic wellness approach to this, like
mhm.
the fact that you have all of these credentials to back up your knowledge, and you mentioned you have the Chinese medicine and then the Western medicine
Yeah.
piece of it's just a beautiful integration and offering. My question now that I'm thinking about it,
Mhm.
how do you incorporate, if you do, the partner, right? How is the partner involved with all this?
Yeah, so I usually get, either some analysis or labs. Most men have them,
Yeah.
and most women are like, "What can my husband do?" Because they want
Yeah, right?
and really, honestly, most men want to take some action. So
Absolutely.
giving them, like, proper things that they can do. So sometimes it might be supplements, sometimes it might be nutrition, sometimes it might be, some herbs, um, different things that they can do to help, affirmations to support their partner, actions they can take. So as much as I can get the partners in, I do.
That's beautiful. So it sounds like that there's some similar treatment, I mean, treatment or,
Mhm,
similar
mhm.
plans that you have for the partners as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
You mentioned affirmations, which
Mhm.
huge fan, I'm a
Yeah.
daily affirmations person.
That's so great.
How do you incorporate, the mindset piece of this? Because as we talked about, it can
Yeah.
be a whole slog of a thing if you've been trying and trying and
Mhm.
nothing is working. Like, how do you instill, peace and ease and maybe even some fun in the process? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true, it's really true. You have to kind of add some levity to it, so I can kind of get a sense of each case, what's happening, and really a common underlying with infertility is my body's broken, something's wrong with me,
Yes.
and if it's, directed at the ovaries, if it's directed at PCOS or endometriosis, really working with specific affirmations that resonate with that person and really having them, okay, when you're having those feelings, really catch yourself, feel what you're feeling, kind of cancel that negative thought and
Mm.
figure out what it is you want to say and tell your body something really loving, and let's go ahead and figure out what that loving statement is and just really work with them because it's really easy to go down and
Oh,
feel
absolutely.
there's not a lot of wins in infertility, right?
No,
So you got
no.
to help them figure out some soft places to land and how to kind of stop that cycle.
Oh gosh, that resonates
Yeah.
so much. The spiraling gets so real, especially as
Mhm,
I
mhm.
as I shared, with my story, I was all, if I
Yeah,
wanted something, I'd work hard and then I get it. Like,
yeah.
boop, that's it, right? And my human design, I'm a generator, so I like work really hard and I get shit done, like
Yep.
that's how it works. But in this case, it was not working. I mean, if there's a silver lining in my story, it really was that this process was so humbling and it
Mhm,
was so grounding for me. And it I mean, even once I got pregnant, the whole pregnancy process just showed me that I need to slow down. And then COVID-19 happened. And I really learned, oh, I really need to slow down, right? So
yeah.
it was just, yeah, it was
Well, that's really good you got to that point. That's really beautiful to get that lesson underneath because I truly feel whenever we meet this resistance in our life,
mm,
and some of it might be genetic, some of it might be hereditary, some of these things really we can't control, but
mm,
we can control how we react to that. So what is that resistance coming from? What is our lesson from that?
mm,
And creating a human is a lot of lessons involved, right? So,
absolutely.
where have you blocked your creativity in your life? How can you bring that in and learn those lessons underneath and make time for it? A lot of people don't they want a baby, but they haven't made space for it in their life, and that's a big one too.
Oh, I feel so called out by that, Morgan.
I'm not talking about you. You're not
No,
alone.
I know, but I know, but I receive it because I think that was a lesson that I needed to learn
Mhm.
was that I was so, I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm
But
very
you are a generator, right? Like
I'm a
you wanna
generator.
manifest like that, and I see that true. A lot of people wanna be in a relationship, and they have no space in their life, right? Their
Yes.
closets are full, they have no time, they can't talk to anybody, but they want that boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're like, "Hmm, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Just because 'cause you're good at manifesting doesn't mean you have space for it."
That's right, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
what a beautiful, beautiful reminder, right? That we may want
Mhm,
this thing, but if there's no space for it,
mhm,
how's that going to work? I mean, in regards to space and clearing space and, with
mhm,
acupuncture, there's that, getting that
mhm.
chi flowing and moving. Do you also talk to your clients about, any like energy work or acupressure or things they can, DIY
Yeah.
at home once you're done, in the sessions with them?
Yeah, I do. I let them have some acupressure, and various, things,
Mhm.
depending on what we're working with. It could be some tai chi movements, it could be
Oh,
some qigong, it could be some, like, tapping just to get the inner free flow,
yeah.
just shake things out, just small little things that they can kind of get back into their body throughout the day,
Mhm.
because we tend to get so in our head and out of our body,
Yeah.
um, and fertility can really put us right up there.
I loved how you talked about, especially in regards to the different whatever the issue is, right? That
Mhm, mhm.
we demonize or we get mad at parts of our body. I love that you work with clients to affirm our bodies and
Mhm.
to speak love and just really reframe because I'm all about a good reframe,
Yeah.
reframing that perspective and how can we see not get in that spiral because as we talked about. It's so easy to do because again, when it seems like everyone
Mhm.
else is getting pregnant and you're here and the other thing is it's not a lot of people talk about it out loud, right?
Mhm.
So you're behind the scenes with your partner trying to figure it out. Then you have people asking you, "When are you getting pregnant? When's that?" Right? It can
Yeah.
be a very triggering process.
Absolutely, and whereas some support is needed, I also encourage a lot of couples to keep what they're doing between them and
Mhm.
just really create that healthy boundary of, "Hey, thanks, mom. Hey, thanks, brother, sister. I appreciate the love, but right now we're just gonna give this a try for a bit, and we'll let you know when we
Mhm.
have news." Because that kind of constant asking, "Hey, when are you gonna have pregnant? When are you gonna have kids?" And all of these things, it I'm sure you know, it just snowballs things,
Yeah.
right? So creating space for you to take this fertility journey with your partner is also really key, really important.
Let's talk about this a little bit more in terms of the communication piece and the
Mhm.
setting boundaries. Is that a part of your coaching as well in terms of how do you say
Definitely. If
things? How do you
y
tell people to back up?
So I give them permission to make this their journey, and I'll have them
Yeah.
do an activity about what does their journey look like for them, and not just a detailed birth plan, right? Like, what does this whole process look like? What does it look like for you and your partner and your life? And really help them. Sometimes people haven't put everything in there that they want, and
Mm,
they don't know how to advocate for those needs. So really let them get clear on what it looks like for them. That's also a good discussion point for partners,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
That brings the man into this as well. And then just give them permission. And sometimes that's all people need is just permission to say, hey, you can tell people, thanks, but I'm not ready to talk about it at the moment.
That is so true. Sometimes we know what we want, but sometimes
Mhm.
we need a coach or an accountability partner to say or a guide to say, "Here's your permission slip. Go
Yeah.
ahead. You
I mean,
can."
we all have a mom, and sometimes it's not easy to tell her, hey, back off. Like, we
Yeah.
all have family and friends that love us dearly,
Yes.
and it's not so easy. So if I can be that person for couples to say, hey, just tell them it's okay. You don't
Mhm.
have to share your whole life story with your whole family right now.
Mm.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it certainly is because you can I mean, especially for pregnancy in and of
Mhm.
itself, it can become an invasive process, especially
Yeah.
once you're showing and people are like, "All, ooh."
Then all social boundaries go out the window, right?
Yeah, right, right. I will say though, in my experience, there was only one instance where someone touched my belly without asking, and
That's great.
I think there's a language barrier there. So I'm gonna just say it was that. I don't think they spoke English very well, so I couldn't say no
Really
in a
say,
way
"Hey,
that
no."
was understood.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
yeah, yeah. So in terms of, once the couple gets pregnant, yay, hooray, do you continue to work with them from there,
Mhm.
like throughout the entire okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One of my dreams I would love to do is, like, run that group program, the 40 weeks of pregnancy, because every week there's so many beautiful things that you can do and just kind of handhold women through that because it's just special. It's a special time.
It's so
Yeah,
special. I kept one of those pregnancy journals
so
throughout
good.
my 40 weeks, and just
Yeah.
going back and looking at all the different things that
Mhm.
happened, all the milestones, all the challenges, right?
Mhm. It
And
is.
how I dealt with it yeah, it's truly amazing. So
Mhm.
let's manifest that. Well, I'll affirm that program.
Thanks.
I will get that. I think that would be a beautiful offering to be able to have a container and a space, talk about space,
Mhm.
right? Space with you to check in and be able to have
Yeah.
someone to talk to about it. Because and also the other thing is that not everyone has different experiences with pregnancy,
Mhm.
right? So, I
A
mean,
place to come in and check in and say, "Hey, is this normal?" And if you're a group of
yeah,
other women, they can share ideas and experiences as well. Yeah, I think that would just be really nice to have a community and be able to get consistent answers from somebody, you know? I wish I had that when I was pregnant, but I was pregnant in a foreign country, so whole other story.
I will say that I didn't have something quite like that during pregnancy, but after the fact, my mommy support group that was
Mhm.
set up through the hospital, so we all delivered around the same time at the same hospital. It was an online because it was COVID, so there it was like in 6 weeks, I think, online
Mhm.
meetings, but to this day, almost 2 years later, we still have our Facebook group, we still keep in
Yay.
touch. So, so crucial.
That is the most crucial. That 6 weeks postpartum is when you need that community. That is just a time when swoop in and take care of a postpartum woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so great. You still have that community. I love that.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what I would have done without
Yeah,
them, honestly, especially for us, we're new mommies in
yeah,
a pandemic. We're like,
yeah,
"What are we doing?"
totally. That's, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
absolutely wild. So do you have any group offerings at the moment, or is this 40-week a brainchild that you're hoping to someday
You know, I have kind of like a cluster of women dealing with PCOS
Mhm.
is a hurdle of fertility, right? Infertility right now. So I've just created an ebook, caring for
Oh,
PCOS, like naturally. So that'll be going out, available for free download next week. But I would love to get a group of women together because it's just the most common. So many women are
yes.
struggling with it. You know,
Mhm.
I would love to do some sort of group like that, like a really run a cohesive group. So I'm, just kind of manifesting these things to show up. I just started this phase of fertility coaching as I've been here in Portugal, and I just, after 5 years of trying, I cannot get a license to work here in this country. So this was my option to move forward and not be stuck. So, um, yeah, I get to keep sharing now, and I get to do it online. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah,
I've only been to Portugal once, and it was, like, just a one-day thing, in Lisbon with my parents,
it's a
just
beautiful
on our
city.
way somewhere else, so
Yeah,
but
cool.
beautiful country.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, let's keep in touch, and I'll
Mhm.
definitely once that freebie download is available, I'll share with the community. Where can folks find you and learn about you and potentially work with you? Because clearly you are super knowledgeable and
Thanks.
amazing and have such great insights, Morgan.
Excellent. Thank you. You can find me on Facebook under Morgan Patricio. And my website is lavenderwellnesses.com. And
Okay.
there they have a whole bunch of information. And next week, my VA is putting up a huge freebie page. So you can pop on and get all sorts of things you would love.
Ooh,
Mhm,
yes, we're here for a freebie page.
mhm.
Well, I will definitely drop that information in the show
Great.
notes and make sure people connect with you because,
Mhm,
oh my goodness, thank you so much, Morgan. Again, as someone who went through this process and experience, just feeling validated, feeling seen, just knowing that there's nothing wrong with me, with other women
mhm,
that have dealt with us with, it happens, and there are ways that we can work with folks like you to
mhm.
get our holistic wellness together and have beautiful
Oh,
babies.
yes. Thanks for sharing your story. It's so beautiful.
I really
I'm so
appreciate
happy for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Well, I might have to
Yeah.
reach out to you because 'cause we're hoping,
Please.
we'd love to have number 2 at some point.
Yeah.
So,
Pace
that's
yourself. I have kids that are 18 months apart. You wanna just
oh,
space it
no.
out a little bit more.
Morgan, I don't even know how you and other folks do that because I'm still tired. I don't like, not
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Wonderful. Well,
Good.
everyone, make sure you reach out to Morgan. As I said, I will drop the information in the comments and in the show notes here. Next week, we're going to be talking to Lisa Chin, who is a writer, a coach, a podcaster, and mom. Oh my goodness, friends. She has quite a story to share about, actually ties in a little bit with Morgan's story in terms of she gained some clarity based on her experience in the womb, in her mother's womb, and how that then translated and reflected on her purpose and what she does in her work and coaching. It's quite a story. You don't want to miss it. But in the meantime, reach out to Morgan, get those freebies once they drop, thanks to her VA. And until then, I hope y'all take care of yourselves and do acupuncture and do all the Chinese medicine things because they're awesome. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye.